let's talk protein. So I had a discussion today with a client after one of my emails about protein. And this specific client is a vegetarian. And she started telling me that brown rice was protein, quinoa was protein, tofu was protein, and there's all these other sources besides meat to get protein. And while yes, this is true, what you need to worry about when you're talking about what kind of source of energy your food is you need to look at the nutrition label. So I did a simple Google search for her while we were training, because we're training virtually, and quinoa is 21% carbs, 4.4% protein. So what kind of source of energy do you think that is? Carbs or protein? While yes, quinoa has more carbs, more protein than brown rice, she went on to tell me that brown rice has protein. And she read this in a book. Okay. Now, brown rice has 44 grams of carbs and 5 grams of protein. 5 grams. And that protein is probably from the whole grain, but it's not a protein source. So yes, it's better than white rice, but it's not a protein source. It's a carb source. Your body is going to process it as a carb. Okay? But brown rice does have a lot of nutrients in it. It has magnesium and phosphorus and niacin and B6. It has a ton of that stuff in it. So yes, it's good for you, but you can't use protein as the energy source because it is carbohydrates, right? So this is a big misconception. And then she went on to tell me that she read in a book that if you have 2 certain types of carbohydrates, they form into a protein because of amino acids. Like, our body isn't doing a science experiment. We can't make a carb into a protein. It's like you can't turn a rock into a bed of feathers, right? Like, and fat doesn't turn into muscle, right? Like, that's not what happens, but it drives me crazy because she's like, I read it in a book. And it's like, well, I have a master's in sports nutrition. I think I might know what I'm talking about. And it's like, you're not turning one element into a different type of element. Like, it's not happening. Like, hydrogen, it's like hydrogen and oxygen and all these things, like chemical bonds. Like, it's just not happening in your body. You're not turning carbs into protein. And I get this a lot with people that don't eat meat. And I'm not saying, I do not recommend a vegetarian diet. It is very hard to get all your proper nutrients in. And yes, you can eat tofu, but it's just like when you eat too much of anything, it's bad for you. If you eat too much beef, it's bad for you. If you eat too much chicken, you become anemic. So eating all of one thing is not good for you. So you need to expand your horizons. And this is why when someone is vegetarian, I recommend them trying some kind of protein powder because, lentils and all that other stuff are great. But when it comes to weight loss, you really need to focus on your workout if you are a vegetarian, because a lot of your protein sources are also filled with carbs, whereas a piece of steak is protein and fat, right? And carbs are not bad for you. I'm not saying that. But when you think you're eating protein and you're eating more carbs, you need to be careful because your portion sizes need to be different. And now quinoa is going to fill you up. So, there is that. It's just like peanut butter. Peanut butter is not a protein source. It's a source of fat. If you have any more questions about nutrition, give me a call at 845-883-8577. You can also text that number, comment on this video, or send me an email at info@bodiesbykaladi.com. I would love to chat with you. Until next time, this is Coach Julie, owner at Bodies by Kaladi, personal training studio in Kingston, New York.